All right, let's start the Forever Forward podcast webcast. I want to thank everybody for showing up, and it's an honor one that you showed up. But anyone that's going to be listening to the podcast later on, anyone that's going to be viewing this, on the Facebook Live feature. So I appreciate you guys coming on. The premise behind this entire Forever Forward podcast is to dig a little bit deeper into the journey of just different variety of people, athletes, musicians, artists, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and talk about the journey that it takes for them to get to the mountaintop. The idea is we can always tell the stories of when we're on the mountaintop and what the view looks like from down there, or from all the way up top. But the idea is really kind of going, hey, listen, tell me the story behind the story of those valleys that you're in. Forever Forward really just simply means keep moving forward. And it's just, my background is, I'm a strength coach, have been for about 20 years. I've been blessed to meet some amazing people, and I'm always intrigued by their stories. And so the idea is really kind of digging deep into that story, but more so, I want to figure out, in that valley, what was their motivation to just take that one more step forward? It's just like I tell every one of my athletes, like, listen, man, just take one step past that threshold. I'm not asking for grandiose steps. I'm looking for that one step past that threshold, because really what happens is once you start taking those one step past that threshold of, all those limitations that we put upon ourselves, if we increase our steps forward, we start to increase our capacity to do really big things. And once we increase our capacity, we increase our power to really, conquer anything that's in front of us. And so, especially during these times during quarantine, and you can tell by the quarantine hairdo I got cooking right now, this is pretty awesome. The idea is really to just go, listen, we're in a valley right now, and let's dig into some stories, with this particular format to, start to understand different people out there that have been through the trenches just like us, and have stepped forward and are moving forward towards that goal and that mountaintop type of experience. So today I'm really blessed to have a friend of mine. Sanjeev we've gotten to know each other over the past couple months, and he has got an incredible story. One, you'll notice here in a little bit, he is absolutely infectious with his energy. But a little bit of background, Sanjeev is the CEO of Proze, and we'll talk quite a bit about the Proze. So the idea behind Proze and our introduction with the CBD and all the impact that it makes with the athletes that he's introduced the product to. We're going to dig deep into that and the why behind that. But I mean, this guy's been at University of Michigan. He's got biology. He's got biopsychology degrees. I'm really intrigued. We're going to dig deep into. You're not going to believe this, but this guy used to sell yellow pages as a beginning, and then now he's moved so many steps forward. He's developed over 87 nutritional products that are impacting so many athletes, and he's worked with tons of pros, tons of Olympic athletes, and so I think this guy, one, his story is really infectious to me, and it means a lot to me that one, his smile is amazing, but just his energy levels as well. And so let's dig deep and introduce Sanjeev, and we're gonna dig deep into his story here. So Sanjeev,
Awesome.
how we doing, man?
Hey, I'm good, brother. How are you? Doing fantastic.
It's awesome to see you, pal. Awesome to see you. Man, what's it like in Arizona right now? It's got to be cooking.
Yeah. Man, it is cooking. It's cooking. It's about 100 plus degrees today.
Ouch.
It was itching up. It's inching up. You know what I mean? Every day it's getting up to that, July 110, 112, type of weather. But hey, listen, you know what? Like, I'm from Michigan, like you said, so I'm happy when it's not snowing and I got to shovel things out of there. And I got to, you're quarantined a lot when all of a sudden you can't drive anywhere.
I know. I know. Yeah, you can't even go out there. Now you just have to cook in your driveway. That's awesome. So, Sanjeev, I appreciate you coming on, and once again, we've gotten to know each other over the past couple of months, and through Proze, but more so we started to talk quite a bit about just a little bit of the background of your story, and some of these things of you grew up in Michigan, you went to University of Michigan. Let's kind of use that as a launching pad to start to develop the story behind the story of where you're at as a CEO of Proze right now. What was it like growing up in Michigan? Give me a little background on that.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, that is a really great place to start, because the time that I spent in Michigan, especially in college, is really kind of, shaped what's happened now. And not just the education part of it, but actually the journey and some of the things that happened after Michigan or whatever. But yeah, you know what? It was amazing. I mean, I'm obviously Indian, right? And so when my parents moved from Ohio to Michigan, we were in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so there weren't a ton of Indian families in Grand Rapids. So we kind of stuck out a little bit, which was fine, right? But it was one of those things in which, it was, we had family, yeah. Right? And that's why a lot of ethnicities kind of hang around family so much, especially at that time, because there's nobody else that really understands us or knows us or right. Like we feel comfortable around, because it's just we're up by ourselves,
yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. So, speaking on that, and listen, I love the diversity of, where we're at, and like you're in Arizona and I'm in Dallas, and, fairly diverse, but, did that start to, growing up in Michigan, with your culture and just having a little bit of a microcosm, did that start to kind of, you feel like it built a wall, or did it kind of actually help you to navigate other ethnicities and other nationalities? Did it kind of help you branch out, or did it kind of make you close in a little bit?
What was interesting is that I maybe it was the community, but the community and my friends, or the support that we got, it was really, really easy and enjoyable to assimilate, if you will,
yeah.
Right? Assimilate in the good sense, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Not saying we conformed. I'm saying that we assimilated,
right.
Right? And they, wanted to know more about us, and actually wanted to be more like us,
right.
than even like their own thing. And so I think I don't know, buddy. I don't know if we got really lucky. I just remember this, okay, right? That when people would talk about discrimination or talk about, I was oblivious to that,
right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I've always kind of been oblivious to it. I'm not exactly sure why that is. It's not like I force myself to not look at that sort of stuff. It's just that I feel like for most of the time, people have almost like given me more than privilege than they've taken from me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's interesting as you say that. It's, and I grew up with a pretty diverse family as well. And, it's one of those things that's never really kind of come into my mind from, looking at race and looking at, things like that. And I know it impacts quite a bit of people, especially here in the States, but, it's interesting when you're introduced to, a scenario like you went through, and then, I have as well. It's one of those things where you start to, I like what you said, you assimilated, you didn't change who you were. And you didn't, the family didn't evolve into the city that you were living in. So I love to hear that. So from there, growing up in Michigan, you went to University of Michigan. Why University of Michigan?
Yeah, so there were two schools to go. You either went to Michigan or you went to Michigan State.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to go to Michigan State because my sister had graduated from there. And she had done well, and she was going to dental school at Michigan after her third year. So she didn't even graduate her undergrad. And I was thinking to myself, this is so silly, David. I was thinking to myself, well, you know what? Like Manisha, my sister, had done super well at Michigan State. And I was like, you know what? I'm like smarter than her. So I'll tell you what, it's probably going to be easier for me to do super well at Michigan State than if I went to Michigan, right? And this is the thing, though. So I got into Michigan State, and my parents were like, hey, listen, your sister's going to Michigan, so we're not taking 2 drives. So guess what? You're going to Michigan.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up at Michigan.
Nice, but so we'll call it by default then to save
By
gas.
complete Dude, when you're Indian and you know Indians that we are so frugal. So let me tell you something. That saving gas was a key determinant of me going to Michigan with my parents.
We'll call it thrifty, not frugal. Thrifty, yes.
Yeah, thrifty.
Nice. So you went to University of Michigan. What was the catalyst for going into biology, and then help me understand a little bit about the biopsychology behind it.
Oh, yeah, buddy. It's really simple. Listen, when you're Indian, you're either going to be a doctor or you're going to be an engineer. Okay. Right. That's what you're bred to be. Okay. Right. And so that's why we have a lot of doctors and we have a lot of engineers,
Right.
Okay. Right. And so my sister was a dentist, and basically my parents were like, okay, so she's a dentist, and guess what? You're going to be a doctor. And so I'm like, okay. And I know that seems a little weird, David, but like literally that's culturally what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And so that's why I went into the sciences, and I basically chose, biopsychology because it was neuropsychology.
Yeah.
And what I found really interesting was, hey, you could take this quantitative science, which was biology, and then put kind of this qualitative aspect around it, which was psychology. And I didn't even know it existed until I got there. And it was amazing, buddy, because basically I got to understand not only the true elements of kind of biology and physiology and all that sort of stuff, but then also how does the body actually function based on some environmental things that may happen, some emotional things that may happen, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, that's pretty much why you and I, he and ha really well together is, understanding the cause and effect, and then understanding even more so during especially during this time when people are stressed and really kind of going through the ringer, understanding even like the gut brain axis. We talk about this a lot. Is a lot of things happen from the gut standpoint that affect our mood, and so the understanding of the body and how it affects everything, what we intake and some of the outside and elements that start to influence how the body starts to respond as well is a huge piece to study in, and a lot of people are now, the consumers are starting to understand that. But you're on the cusp of really the science that's really about to break out. Is I think a lot of people are kind of fed up with the big pharma piece and starting to kind of go, well, there's got to be something else out there, and then we're diving a little bit deeper into the nutrition side and starting to understand what we intake actually, will dictate what's going on in our mood and how I perform. And so, with what you're doing, I think, you were right at the cusp, even at the University of Michigan, at the point where you're going, okay, I know that there's a need out there to start to understand, the body, number one, but then, how is that influenced through all of these things that we intake, internally or even externally. So kudos for, deciding to jump in on that type of research, type of study. So, from Michigan, I want to kind of jump a little forward to this. You got to tell me about this Yellow Page thing, man. Where did that come from? Selling Yellow Pages. I want to hear about this.
Yeah, you're going to really like this story. So basically, or hopefully you will. So, okay, so here I am. I'm at Michigan. I go all out,
Yeah.
right? I'm so freaked out about going to Michigan that, because I was worried, everyone seemed so smarter. Like it was a scary experience. And so I had to perform. Right.
Yeah.
And so therefore, buddy, all I did was study, and I just studied and I studied. Okay. Right. And I worked super, super hard. And obviously my sister had graduated in 3 years from state. So I was like, oh my God, am I going to have to graduate in 3 years from Michigan? And so here I am, I'm like working my butt off. And, one of my best friends played football at Michigan, Brian Greasy. Okay. Right. And basically what happened is that I had basically graduated after my third year. Okay. Right. I had this one class that was kind of left, okay? And so here I am, and I'm all finished up. Brian's almost finished up as well too. And we decide, listen, you know what? Before we go to grad school, because he got accepted at Georgetown, I got accepted at Boston University for med school, him for environmental policy and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, long story short, he ends up wanting to play out his 5th year. Okay, yeah. Right? And we were going to go and get some research grants, which I did, and go backpacking and take a year off before grad school.
Nice.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Well, he ends up playing that last year because he wasn't going to. Right. Because he was like a 3rd stringer. Okay, right? And so he ends up going and doing this thing, ends up becoming a national champion, you know, all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, like I've already deferred my year. What am I going to do?
Right. Yeah.
And so my parents are like, dude, they are furious. And so they say, listen, you got to go get a job. Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, well, I go back to Grand Rapids. My parents had already moved to North Carolina. And I'm thinking to myself, Damon, I don't know anything except for science. I didn't do anything but the sciences. Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a background in anything. I stutter. You know, I just felt like I was like, oh my gosh, I got like what am I gonna do out there? You know, right? And I'd always been taught that you only do what you study. Mm. So my buddy's dad, one of my best friends' dad, had a Yellow Page company, and said, hey, listen, you can go sell Yellow Pages for us. So that's how I started selling Yellow Pages. And then I started selling Yellow Pages, and that was like 98, right? Yeah. 98, 99. And here's the interesting story, buddy. Here's where it gets good. So basically, I start selling Yellow Pages. People start putting Yellow Pages on the internet. Mm-hmm. So now there become Yellow Page directories on the internet. And I get kind of caught up in that whole wave. And I end up moving to San Francisco and helping to start an online Yellow Page database company. Okay. That's how that.
Yeah. So you're directly using your science background right off the bat. right off. And I'll tell you what. The reason why what you said about Michigan was so pivotal, that was so key, is that ever since even leaving Michigan, ever since leaving high school, I've been running scared. Yeah.
I've been running scared because it's always like, okay, I'm not gonna be good enough to get my grades like they need to be at Michigan. So I work my butt off. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I leave Michigan. I don't go to med school. I start another company. I never studied that, so I'm running scared. So I got to work my butt off. Yeah. And see, that's the thing, buddy, is that even to this day, I'm still running scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you find that as fuel, though?
I find it as fuel. And I'll tell you what it is, to me at least, and I'm not saying to others, is that it is the best fuel for me. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing, bud, you know, like you were saying, you know, I've been fortunate to be in the space of nutrition and supplementation, formulated 87 products. Damon, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
I'm not a nutritionist. Mm-hmm. I'm not degreed in it. I've developed nutritional plans for Tom Brady to Kurt Schilling to Randy Johnson to Mike Allstott to Phil Mickelson. I'm not degreed in any of that.
Right.
And so that's, but I want to do it. Mm-hmm. So because I want to do it, and I got to spend so much time learning about it and be super intense about it. One, because I feel like, wait a second, I really shouldn't be doing it because I'm not degreed in it. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is I'm running scared that I'm not degreed in it, which has actually made me really good at doing it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, so I'm going to unravel this a little bit. What would you be scared of, though?
I have this thing in my mind that when you like are degreed in it, and I know I keep talking about degreed, but I think that lets you understand kind of where I come from with my culture and with, I think, well, no, you study. Indians are studiers.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Right.
Okay, right? We may not run real well. We may not shoot a basketball really well. We may not block and tackle really well, but we study. We study professionally. Okay, right? And so therefore, I always think that when you're degreed, like, you know everything.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I'm like running scared that when I'm not degreed, I gotta learn. I'm missing stuff.
Right. Right.
Even though I know, Damon, I'm not. And even though I would say that now I've realized that even I'm glad I don't have the degree, because I'll tell you what I've realized, people that are degreed, and I fault them at no at all for this, because you get so centered on what you've learned that it's hard for you to learn anything outside of that, because when you learn stuff that are outside of that, it may negate some of the things that you've learned.
Right. It doesn't fit into that, specific box that you just learned, and it, may sometimes, contradict what you actually did learn. And so, I think there's an advantage behind that, having the propensity to study and research and to feel like you need to know, and this is true for me as well, is I need to know the why is this going on? And so what happens is once you start to, unravel something, then it opens up another piece behind it, and you go, okay, I need to understand this piece. And, it's absolutely fascinating when you have the propensity to just dig a little bit deeper. And I think that fear, like you said, is really kind of the piece where it's like, I just need to know. I don't want to speak from a place of ignorance behind that. I think that culturally serves you incredibly well. Is I want to be an authority on what I'm actually being able to present. And I think a lot of people, once you get super fixated into that box, then all you're going to do is that research in that same vein that you were down that path, rather than going, okay, I need to start to understand all the sciences behind that, right, and to unravel the why behind what I need to understand. So when you start talking about the fear, or feel like you're kind of running scared as fuel, I love that, because I think a lot of people are, have that feeling of just running scared. And it's a good driver. Here's the thing, though, is a lot of people will probably, feel that they're running scared, and it really tanks them rather than fuels them. For the simple fact is, like, especially right now, during this whole quarantine, I think a lot of people are going, man, job, I've got kids, I've got a homeschool. I mean, maybe I'm just talking about myself here. I got, 2 little boys. I've got a job to continue to do, and trying to innovate and create, and, staying on top of, working with the clients. And, so there's a lot of compounding things, but then all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, this is a beautiful time to actually create rather than let this time tank me. And so, my biggest push for a lot of people that I've talked about is, listen, use this time wisely to go, okay, let me do a little introspection, because this is freaking scary right now. I don't know if I'm going to come back to a job. I don't know how to teach my kids, science and math and all this stuff. And so it's compounding fear. But when you're, feel like you're having to innovate rather than let it completely tank you, I think there's an opportunity there to go, okay, what can I do with this time? And the problem is, I think a lot of people don't know how to actually just sit and be quiet for a while. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, buddy, no question. I mean, here's the thing. Those are great points you bring up. Is that I'm running scared in the sense of I'm going to miss something. Mm-hmm. That's different than being scared of doing something. They're 2 different scares. Yeah. Okay, right? I'm not scared of doing something. Yeah. I'm scared of missing something. And see, this is great for me, because here's the deal. I'm easy to fool myself into things. And I love it. Okay, right? And so like I'll fool myself into thinking, okay, listen, I'm going to miss something. So that makes me overly needing to know as much as I possibly can and go searching for those answers. Like you said, I love what you said about the why. Here's the thing, Damon, this is the problem. This is the problem with people. They focus more on the what than they do on the why.
Yeah.
And the problem with not focusing on the why is because then you can't take that teaching and put it towards something else. It's just like your whole point is to try to go innovate. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're going to innovate, that means that you have to go pool a bunch of different ideas together and then to put it all in one soup, and now it's a brand new soup. Yeah. Okay? But you got to understand what things to actually pull to put in that soup. Well, if you don't understand the why of each of those parts, like why it actually functions and why it would work, then you can't really innovate. Right. And see, I think it's so easy for people to just give you the what, like 9 times 9 is 81. Right. Okay? Yeah. Rather than no. What it is there's 9 sets of things. Okay, right? Mm-hmm. And those 9 sets of things have 9 things in them. So therefore, that's how you get to actual 81. Right. Is because of those things. See, and I think that's why people should be scared if they're not able to accomplish something, is because they're not really digging into what's the why behind stuff, if that makes sense.
No doubt. And I think that it definitely speaks to a lot of the products that you developed over time. Is we have all the ingredients that can make this amazing soup, if you will, but to understand, well, one thing actually unlocks the potential of this particular thing, but even then you go, wait a minute, I need to back up and go, why do I want to start to put these different elements into this specific, supplement or specific scenario in life in order to then produce what you want to do. And so I think even from a product production, that's obvious, very obvious, but in life as well, as we start to, just get so inundated of what the situation is rather than why this is actually serving us. Right. And so I think, it's one of those really cool moments. And, I just had, one of my studs here, Mickey Nuttall, he just put a comment on there, and I love it. It's, an acronym of FEAR. It's, forget everything and run, or, face everything and rise. And so I think that's the element of right now is going, okay, and the precipice, behind what's driven you for so long is you go, okay, I can, face this particular fear and rise from it with the understanding of going that innate ability to go, why am I going to do what I'm going to do? Is there a solution that I can create for somebody? And so therein lies, I think, the production of 87 nutritional products that you've had, and you even have fitness products out there as well, and that's incredibly impressive. But I think that drive to go, how can I, and correct me if I'm wrong, but how can I serve a need out there, right? And I think that's what definitely has driven you, right? And so one of those things is like, how can I make an impact on a problem right now, and then figure out why is that happening? How can I create the solution for that?
Yeah, buddy, you're so funny you mentioned this. You're exact. We were just talking about this today. Is that I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate to be in a space in nutrition, in health, in wellness that is, the harder that I work, the bigger difference that I make. Okay. Right. And so it's easy for me to get super passionate about what I do because I see myself as making a difference out there. But the thing, like you're saying, is that everything has an experience. Mm-hmm. It's not about developing a joint product. Right. It's about developing an experience. And I first think of that experience. I think to myself, what is that person dealing with? Like, how is he suffering, or how is she suffering? And how has that affected their quality of life and what they dream that they could do or wish that they could do? And see, I take that and I get so involved, invested into that because I'm a sensitive dude. I'll just say, I'm a sensitive guy anyways,
right.
and I'm a super emotional guy, and I'm a loner in the sense that I spend a lot of time thinking about stuff. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I take that, and that's what allows me to be like, oh my gosh, Damon, like. I got to create something amazing.
Right.
I got to create something so effective. I got to create something, which then drives me to be like, okay, what's really happening? And what research do I have to do? Who do I have to talk to?
Mm-hmm.
What ideas do I have to combine? What do I have to do that's not out there because that person is suffering in that way?
Yeah.
See, that's why when you say, when I say, that's the fuel. Yeah, buddy, this is such a great fuel for me because it's like, man, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing out there because obviously he's still suffering.
Right. Yeah. And that, I think, that's essentially in my world as well, in the strength, performance side. It's like, listen, I need to find a solution for the specific scenario because, innately, you want to have the big wins and you want to have the trophies and you want to have the flags on the wall, all this stuff. But the simple fact is there's still people out there that, can't either play without pain or, they're so lethargic that they can't even play with their kids. Right. And one of those things where, we've got to find those solutions to help those, particular people and to take them out of pain and actually enjoy life and have a little bit more vitality to this thing that we call life. And, a lot of elements just try to, externally try to take us down from that. But how can we, as an impact maker, be able to breathe a little bit of life into these individuals and go, listen, there's a different way to do things, and there's different solutions. And so I love that has driven your passion for creation. And, it's one of those, out of, necessity breeds creativity. And so I think that essentially is, really the driver for you. Is like, listen, I need to figure out what that necessity is and then create the solution for it. And listen, there's so many, elements that we can throw into that. And so kudos to you. I mean, you figured out a lot of solutions. You figured out, a lot of issues that people are contending with on a daily basis. So I love that drives you on a daily basis. And so, one of the things I kind of want, circle back to is, one of those innate things. I think you and I were on the phone the other day, and you told me, hey, listen, man, I'm an emotional guy. I don't mind being vulnerable as well. The innate driver for you is to help people and to be able to, impact lives, even more so. I mean, you're a board member at Judy's house. You can talk a little bit about that, but just being an impact maker on children and people that are grieving as well. I think that is an innate, huge thread in your life. And talk to me a little bit about what that means to you, for just making an impact.
Yeah, this is a great point. Here's the thing. So this is one of the elements. I'm not saying it's the only element, Damon, but Damon, it's just me. Mm-hmm. I'm not married. I don't have kids, right? I've got, awesome sister. I got niece and nephew. I got my dad. I got, and the reason why I'm saying this is that I got to do something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right? I think that there's no question that my heart is at the very end of the day to know that I feel like all of this talent and all this ability and all of this education and opportunity, it's got to amount to something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? And listen, buddy, I've never been the guy that had a lot of like intelligence or like, smarts, or I've never been that guy, right? And I won't go down the whole like, hey, I had to work real hard or whatever. We all had to do that.
Right.
And so here's my thing is that like, I feel like, that what I've been able to give, or sorry, where I'm at right now, Damon, there's no way I created this. I mean, I'm not this good. I really am not.
Right.
There's no way I created this. I'm not that smart. I'm not that personal. I don't have it. And I've got all this sort of stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, dude, someone has given me all this stuff. Okay, right? And so therefore I've got to do something with it. Yeah. And usually what happens is that you do it for your family. You do it. Well, it's just me, in my limited family. So like, it's just like that's one of the things that I've just like, I do think about a lot, in the sense that like, listen, you know what? I've been given a lot of these talents. I know that they can make a difference, right? And I feel like there's a great need out there for this. So I'm going to get it out there as much as I possibly can. And goodness gracious, David, I don't have anything else that's like keeping me to do it.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, it's the whole, to whom much is given, much is required. And I'm loving the fact that you've embraced that mindset of going, listen, I don't necessarily have all the most amazing tools, but I'm going to be resourceful enough to be able to utilize the tools I do have for better. And I love that. Talk to us a little bit about the inception of Proze. Let's dive a little bit deeper into, really what that is, the impact that that's making. Give us a little bit of the background behind Proze.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Proze started, it's a culmination of my 18 years. So I've been formulating nutritional supplements for 18 years, right? And so a lot of people say, okay, well, you started your company last year. I'm like, yeah, I started the actual company last year, but really the thoughts and the passion and the mindset and stuff was bred over 18 years, right? And I never, Damon, I didn't even want to start a brand. That was not an intent at all.
Right.
I have a formulation firm, and I'm formulating products and handing them over to brands and such. And I just got a chance kind of meeting opportunity with obviously someone, Phil Mickelson, right? Yeah. And him using one of the products that I actually had formulated before, and getting really excited about that. And then us kind of working together on the nutritional end. And then I was working in the lab with a gum that I had formulated, a CBD-based gum. And it's funny because, just a little side note, buddy, that actual idea and concept came from one of your clients, Jordan Speed.
Nice.
And because I had read an article, and it was in the New York Times, about him chewing gum at the U.S. Open on the back nine. Mm-hmm. And he had said in this article, and he only had like two statements, that like, I chewed this gum, I think it was Wrigley's gum, and it helped to calm and relax it. Okay, right? Well, buddy, at that time I had been developing a beets formula. Mm-hmm. And when I was researching the beet, the vegetable, the beet, and how it worked, because it helps to increase nitric oxide, a signaling molecule in the body to help to increase vasodilation and circulation that helps to calm the body. Yeah. Well, as I was doing that research, one of the things that they were talking about was chewing does the same thing. So I had known that, and I said to myself, wait a second, so chewing helps people to rest and relax, vasodilation, increased circulation. What if you put another ingredient in there that did something very similar, like CBD?
Right.
So that's how that actually started. And then I started, everyone started kind of chewing it and using it. And it started to get a lot of guys on the tour started chewing it. And that's how the genesis of Proze began, was this one idea and this one concept. And then it became, people started asking me, well, gosh, Jeevers, why don't you build your own brand rather than just formulate for other brands? And I have this mentor, Damon, that says, if you ever want to do anything like this, you should ask yourself this question. Why does the world need another blank?
Right. Yeah.
And if you can't passionately answer that, then don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and I said, why does the world need another CBD brand? Because there's plenty of great ones out there.
Yeah.
And I kind of came to a few reasons why that was. And that's how Proze kind of started, because I felt like I could build something that was really unique, that was built off of real philosophies, that had ingredient dosages and testing and all that sort of stuff. And then also wasn't just something that was therapeutic, but was performance oriented, because I've always felt that if you can't build your brand on the identity of who you are, then don't do it.
Right. Yeah.
Because people figure it out.
Yeah.
That you're fake.
No, I love that. One of the biggest things that when you introduced me to it, like you said, I mean, there's CBDs, different companies everywhere, right? And so the idea is now going, okay, what's the differentiating factor behind it, and why do I want to produce yet another CBD? And so when you started to introduce me to the product, and this is an amazing plug for the product, but two in particular, we started talking about Shield, and I'm gonna pop these up in the end here with the visuals for the Shield, and then the nods. The Shield, from an immunity standpoint, to me was unbelievable. That's one of those things where we're getting into a little immunosuppressant, being at home and not being introduced to a lot of different viruses out there. Let's talk a little bit about the immunity system, with the Shield. But then why is nods important? Why do I need to improve my sleep?
Yeah. So this is great, bud. So really, well, no, it's like when you said earlier, what really makes any company different than another company? Yeah. It's the philosophy. Mm-hmm. It's what is your philosophy? It doesn't make you right. It doesn't make you wrong. What is your philosophy in how you're going to do something? So when you take a look at a product like Shield, okay, that's focused on immunity, you'll appreciate this. I look at the immunity like I look at the muscle.
Yeah.
You can't build a muscle unless you put stress on it. Mm-hmm. Well, your immune system is the same thing. Everyone's focused on trying to reduce this and to neutralize this and to remove this and to do. Mm-hmm. Guys, that's what creates dependency. Mm-hmm. So my whole philosophy was, how could I help to strengthen the immune system, not just by feeding it, but by allowing it to adapt to the stresses that you place on it.
Yeah.
That's why Shield is built off of the adaptogenic concept of what are the nutrients that have shown to provide the body the ability to manage and deal and adapt to stress.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and by the way, when you do get that ability to manage that stress and to have a powerful immune system that is able to recognize different types of pathogens or bacteria or whatever, respond properly, and then to do it with such strength that there is true resolution and therefore not excess inflammation, you get a powerful acute response, but more importantly, you get true strength that is the longevity of what you're trying to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why, bud, that's why there's the ashwagandha and the turmeric and the reishi mushroom along with the CBD. And immunity and emotional balance are tied so closely together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why you're talking about the gut-brain connection. It's the same thing. Where is the greatest amount of immune production done? It's in the gut.
Right.
Where is 80% of the serotonin made? In the gut.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're going to get stronger emotional balance if you're able to have greater immunity. See, but that's the bringing together of these real philosophies into something that's innovative, that's not out there, because most people are focused on the what.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think that, circles back to this whole discussion of going, okay, I'm in a particular scenario of life. I've got to figure out, what's the issue? I've got to figure out, I know I've got to figure out the solution behind it, but why do I need to figure out the solution? Right. And if I can't figure out why I need to create this, we know that, oh man, I'm tired of feeling sick, or I'm tired of feeling, tired, if you will. And now, a lot of people just kind of stop there and they go, man, I'm just tired of feeling tired. And then they'll go back to a lot of the habits that they started to create in terms of, eating junk food and the things that feel, good. And that's, alcohol or whatever's going to suppress.
Because they're depressed.
No, absolutely. No, 100%. And so it's a cyclical thing, right? And so I'm depressed, so I'm going to, create a comfort food for that. And all that does is start to perpetuate that depression, because I'm kind of feeding the fire with more fire. And so the idea is to now, in your world and in my world, is to really kind of go, okay, how can we create a solution that's going to start to reduce a lot of the inflammation in the gut, and then subsequently puts me in a better mood. It helps me sleep better. It helps me produce better. And so that's why, I love, talking with you is the idea of going, okay, I know that there's a problem. Help me figure out the why to create the solution to it and get to that end game. And I think that's what really kind of the thought process of really, surpassing that fear of what's driving you and going, man, that stops me, right? And that's where usually the people's threshold is like, man, I'm scared to create. I'm scared to move past this because I don't want to put the energy into it. I don't necessarily want to put the effort into it, because what if I fail, right? What if I don't create the solution? Well, what if you never actually did it and you did create the solution for it? And then all of a sudden, now you've provided a massive solution for a lot of people. And so that's where the innovation and the creation start to come into play, is going, don't inhibit yourself with that fear of going, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Okay, you don't need to necessarily build this grandiose plan way, way, way down the road. How about just taking one step, right? And figure out, okay, how do I figure out that one step to get towards my solution? It doesn't need a marathon right now. It needs to be that one step. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. But, here's the thing. Anyone that tells you that I'm going to be successful, okay, right? Just me, I'm just saying me, is fooling themselves. It's not a bad thing to fool yourself.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is when you're not successful, then all of a sudden you feel like you're a failure. Okay, right? Here's my thing. Okay, right? Is that like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be successful.
Right.
Because here's the thing, is that for me at least, I can't know this before it actually happens. There's a difference between knowing something and thinking something. Right. Okay, right? And then the second thing is that, listen, there's a lot of things that have to happen that are out of my control, that are actually going to create that end success.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it's silly for me to actually think that I'm going to be successful. Now, but it's not silly for me to think that that I'm going to put everything that I possibly can so that I can be in the best position for success.
No, absolutely. It's one of those things, and I love telling my athletes this is like, success happens when preparation meets the opportunity. The opportunity can be a million different things that we have no idea. But the idea is to being prepared for that potential opportunity for growth or for expansion is essentially why we drive every single day. That's what drives you every single day, is to go, I need to be prepared for that specific opportunity to whatever success looks different for tons of people. Success might mean for someone, oh man, I can pay the rent this week. That's success for somebody, and that's awesome. Or success might be this grandiose thing. Success is different for everyone, but the preparation that it takes to get to that point where I go, okay, where can I prepare myself for the opportunity to then take myself, self a little bit further and a little bit further. And I think that's what's really kind of driven you on a day-to-day basis is, listen, I need to prepare myself by the research, by the drive, and I love, the feeling of running scared is that fear is a driver for preparation for you. And I dig that, man. I think that's a huge thing for you.
And Damon, remember, I may never be successful.
Right.
I may never be quote unquote successful. Okay, right? In whatever's eyes, maybe even my own eyes. Okay, right? I may never be successful. But here's the thing, is that's why it's so important for me to love what I do. Yeah. Is because the only thing that I may be left with, I don't know, but I may be left with is just the work that I did. Yeah. Okay? And for me, I love the work that I do. I'm grateful for the work that I do. I feel like, that like it's the best that I can do. Mm-hmm. And I hope that it results into something, but hey, Damon, it's all I got. Yeah. So therefore I just focus on it. I just do, because buddy, what else am I going to do? I don't have anything. Right. I can't just hope to think that, oh gee, hey Damon, if I'm not going to do this unless I achieve this result. Right. Yeah. Because I have no idea if I'm going to achieve that result, because there's a lot of factors that need to happen for me to get that result. And so therefore I just do what I do. Right. Yeah. Well, that's what, I like. I love your personal mantra that you throw out there is, do what you can, when you can, the best you can. Talk to me a little bit about where that came from and what that means to you. Oh, buddy, thanks for bringing that up. I'll tell you, yes, this is my mantra. I don't know how it actually started. I don't know exactly when I kind of thought of it, but I know I felt it for a long time. And here's the thing, is that the basis is, buddy, I'm not perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm so far from perfect. Okay, right? Yeah. And I can't be perfect. I've tried to, but I can't be perfect. And so what I've realized is that, you know what? I can't be perfect like all the time, but I'll tell you what, there are times when I know that I can be perfect. Mm-hmm. And so you know what I do is I capture those times and I do whatever it takes to be perfect in that time frame. Yeah. And then I've realized over the years that, you know what? For me to actually accomplish my goals and actually have seen success, you know what? I don't have to be perfect all the time. Right. I just have to be, but here's the thing though, brother, I got to be true to myself. Mm-hmm. And true to myself means is that, Jeevers, when you had the opportunity to be perfect and you knew what you could do and that environment was right, you actually did it. Yeah. Because when you don't do it, you just faked yourself out. You are at fault now. Yeah. Yeah, and that comes back to that accountability piece to yourself. Is like, listen, did you actually do the best you did? Now, best isn't necessarily perfection. Best is effort, right? And you start talking about motivation, and what is motivation? To me, motivation is simply just action. And it's not a feeling or an emotion, right? It's movement towards something. And so when you're talking about the best you can, it doesn't necessarily need to encapsulate perfection. It just needs to encapsulate movement towards progression. It's your best. It's your best. So that means it's your perfection. See, buddy, that's the thing, is that everyone, or not everyone, but I don't let anyone define any word for me, any emotion for me, anything for me. You do not define anything for me. Right. I define. Okay, right? So when I say, hey, listen, man, I'm going to do this the best that I can. Okay, right? It is Jeevers' perfection. Right. Okay, right? And see, when I'm given that opportunity, and you're so right, Damon. See, at the very end of the day, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows except you. You could win a race and somebody say, "Gosh, Damon, you know what? You ran so fast, dude."
Right. Yeah.
But really, only you know you really didn't run that fast.
Right.
You just ran fast enough to beat everybody else.
Right. Yeah. No, that's so true, man. So true. Well, man, Jeeves, I can go for hours and hours on this stuff, but the idea that you're throwing out there, I love the, what you're doing with Proze. I love with the, innovations that you're doing with a lot of the creating a lot of the products that's really giving solutions for, what people are dealing with on a daily basis. So, give me a little something, from Proze right now. What kind of really cool things are you guys doing during this time? I love the Together We Win concept. So talk a little bit about what that Together We Win concept is, and maybe the viewers and listeners can, jump on in and really join this Together We Win initiative.
Yeah, well, awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, man, we all know the times that are happening right now, and it's uncertain in a lot of different areas. You know what I mean, right? In people's health, in people's financial structure, in their emotional structure. And so, we are fortunate to be a company in which we've got a lot of great stability and support. And so we recognized, when all of this was happening, probably actually it started, Damon, when one of our doctors told us about the incredible amount of anxiety and stress that her cancer patients were going through. And I didn't realize how much, because, obviously they're dealing with their diagnosis, but now they're dealing with this environment that they did not control, that they didn't do, that they didn't have any part in. And all of a sudden now they're at this huge, great risk. Yeah. And we thought to ourselves, oh my gosh, like we could not be the solution, but be an element of help here, yeah. Right? And so we obviously jumped at the ability to help these patients in getting some of our knowledge and our products and all that sort of stuff over there. And then we realized, wait a second, you know what? There's a lot of people that we don't know, that we don't touch. But I'll tell you who does. People that would purchase products from us, our consumers. So we created kind of this Together We Win initiative in which, first and foremost, obviously, we were going to discount our products so that they're more able for people to access them. Because, listen, people are having a tough time with resources. Yeah. And so we did that. But then more importantly, what we did is for every order gets a free product. So they can literally choose a free product from our line, and they can send that product absolutely free. We send that product absolutely free. Free shipping, free product, free everything to whoever they've kind of designated. And it's been so awesome, Damon, because you know what? People are now bringing in the stories of where they're sending their free product to. And it's their friend who lost their job, or their friend or coworker who's dealing with a ton of stress, or a nurse that they know that's working on the front lines, or like whatever. Well, no, it doesn't need to be some drastic thing. It's just where they felt that, you know what, I want to do something. We know, Damon, that people want to do things. That's the human nature and the beautiful, wonderful. So we just wanted to give a chance to maybe allow them to do it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I love that. No, it's a great initiative, and I've taken part of the initiative as well, and sent it to the sent the products over to people that I know can definitely utilize it. And I think it's just strikes a chord with everybody that we know somebody that within our community, within our reach, that could really use something to help with the stress, use with the anxiety, and so it just gives an opportunity to really just be able to give. And I think that helps with our community piece, and I think it expands upon what you're doing as an initiative, what we're doing as an initiative with this particular podcast, is being able to just go, listen, man, we're all in this together, we're all in this as a team. And a lot of those pieces of the puzzles that we start to put together as a community propels us forward. And so the idea, as we kind of wrap up the show today, is having the mindset of listen, that one step, being able to just continue to pursue, the thing that drives us, whatever that drive is, whatever that feeling of going, I need to just propel myself forward. And, through the creation of, Jeeves with the Proze or with any of these products that you did, I mean, figure out what's going on in my life right now that I need to figure out why, and especially during now, we got a little bit of time just being able to just sit back a little bit and go, why is this happening? And what am I to learn from this? And so the idea is propelling ourselves forward is the concept behind why we're doing what we're doing. And, the appreciation of just forward momentum all the time is in our pursuit at the end of the day, much like you, Jeeves, you put your head, on the pillow at night going, you know what, I did the best I could today. And who knows if it was perfect, but you know what, I did the best. And so there's a lot of comments, a lot of questions for everyone. Continue to place those down into the comment section. I know myself and Jeeves will jump on in and get a lot of the questions answered for you guys. But listen, Jeeves, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the smile. I appreciate just the drive that you have every single moment of the day to make an impact. And so in that is infectious, and one of those things that breathes life into me of going, okay, did I do my best today? Because I know I'm going to talk to Jeeves within a couple of days and go, hey, listen, man, did I do my best today, that I can report back to Jeeves and go, yeah, I did a good job. But at the end of the day, I've got to look myself in the mirror and go, much like your mantra that you had, do what I can, when I can, and the best I can. And so, Jeeves, I appreciate you taking the time today, with us. I appreciate all of you listening. Go on to the Forever Forward podcast page, comment. Let's build that community. And I know Jeeves will jump on, answer any questions as well. So let's wrap this up. Jeeves, you got any last words for us, buddy?
No, buddy, I think I'm just honored and grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much. And just remember, like you mentioned, you just do what you can, when you can, the best you can.
I love it. And always keep moving forward, forever forward. Appreciate you guys. Take care.